Hello, welcome to LearnToCook.com. I'm Chef Mark, and today we'll be learning how to cook onions. I thought you'd like to know perhaps how to peel an onion properly to help you maximize the yield and to make it easy for you to cook them in a great way. First, the paring knife, sharp paring knife is important. I like to cut off the root end, like so, and then I cut off the blossom end, and I use it in a paring motion. And then if there's a section of onion skin, I'll pull that. I might make even a little slight incision just into the skin to get the onion skin off, and of course the first layer. So you kind of pair that. Always store onions in your refrigerator. Do not store them in room temperature. If you store them in the refrigerator, they tend to reduce that onion gas, which is a very unpleasant side effect of cutting onions at a room temperature. Always make sure the onions are very, very cold. So I'm going to cut right through north to south pole, right through the stem end with your chef's knife. Force it, cut straight down with your shoulder. You have two nice spheres. I want to do small dice. Right, I want 1/4 inch vertical cuts as far back as I can, and then a few horizontal cuts as far back as I dare, right? I'm going to cut myself. Nice and easy. Take your time. Slightly angle down the knife. Avoid holding it like this. Keep it on top. All right, so that's looking pretty good. Small dice. And then just a matter of slicing it down straight away. Cross section. Nice sharp knife. You can see how easy that goes through the onion. Cut some of the edges off on either side. I'm liking that small dice. Pretty nice, huh? Now we're going to large dice the onion. So it's certainly larger than 1/4 inch. We want, a 1/2 inch sections. They're pretty large, right? So we can go far back as we like with this one. See? It's 3/4 of the way, almost all the way back. And go back over, make sure I have that cut. And then one horizontal cut. Now, if the knife is sharp, you can take your time. See? Slice. Don't press so hard you can't get your knife anywhere. Remember, a knife is like a microscopic saw, or which it is. If you put a knife blade under the microscope, you see the teeth. So use it the way it's intended and the sawing motion. Use the whole blade. You see the whole blade as we cut again, 1/2 inch. And you have large dice. Now we're going to thinly slice an onion. A Julienne cut, a thin cut used for soups, for sauteing, for caramelized onions, which we'll be making shortly, and for sauteed onions in butter. So to cut that appropriately, we cut it with the grain, or the way the onion is growing, and we have very thin slices cutting from the top to the bottom. And then we loosen them up, as you can see. They're separated up, thinly sliced, and now we can saute those for smothered onions, sauteed onions, or caramelized onions, which we'll be making next. Okay, so now we have our balsamic caramelized onions. I'm using the authentic balsamic vinegar. It really makes it dark, but what a beautiful flavor. You want to slowly cook your onions. This makes a great topping for a gourmet hamburger, not to be confused with a regular hamburger. So all I did was take the butter and olive oil, and unlike the sauteed, which is hot and fast, this is slow cooked on low heat, so it caramelizes. So the onions have natural sugars in them. So that's a slow caramelized Spanish onion with a balsamic glaze. You can even add some white wine, which I actually did earlier to that. Give it a little extra oomph. Now for sauteing onions, maybe it's for smothered onions, for another nice dish. Maybe you're making a nice hamburger or a steak burger, or you have a meatloaf and you want to finish it off with some nice sauteed onions. You can let these cook slow if you like. You put a little broth in it. I have a little broth or a little stock so that they don't caramelize. Let them sweat. All right, you can see those onions adding the broth have smothered. They're not caramelized like the balsamic caramelized onions we did, but they have a light smothered, wilted light brown hue to them. And that was because it absorbed the butter. And we put some broth. They're soft and tender. Nice and soft and tender. You want to be sure they're very limp. Now you have a beautiful smothered onion. So I know you'll enjoy that on a steak or on a hamburger.